All right, so welcome to this week's episode of Ant on Music. When I left off last week, right after recording last week's episode while I was editing it, got the awful news that Ozzy Osbourne had passed away, and I just want to take a moment and acknowledge that right off the bat. Ozzy, meant a lot to me as well as to the entire heavy metal community. He is the Prince of Darkness, or as I like to call him, the Clown Prince of Darkness, because he had a tremendous sense of humor, a self-deprecating sense of humor. Through the Osbournes, he made us realize our own humanity in a lot of ways, that, here's this rock and roll god, and he was, humbled by that show in a lot of ways, just showing him in a very, very, down-to-earth way, the way Ozzy was with people that knew him well. I never got the opportunity to meet Ozzy during my radio days, nor even interview him, but the loss is tremendous. Having grown up in the Bronx, very similar upbringing as far as not having a lot of money around, and knowing that Black Sabbath were these four dudes from Birmingham that made it out, was very inspiring. And I was in a bunch of bands. My first band, my high school band, with two of my good friends, Marcel and Andy. We did a ton. We had a couple different bass players and a couple different drummers, but we did a ton of Sabbath. A lot of Sabbath. We did some Ozzy as well, but did a ton of Sabbath stuff. War Pigs, Paranoid, Fairies Wear Boots, you name it, we played it, and I was the singer. I know it's hard to believe with this voice that I have. But yeah, I used to sing back then, and Ozzy was a tremendous inspiration. So wherever the madman is, I wish him well. And I want to say thank you, for all you did for music, man. It was a lot. It was a heavy week, especially after the triumphant final concert that Ozzy had in Aston Villa. Just so sad. So hats off to Ozzy Osbourne. My best to his family, his wife and children, his many friends, and the fans world over. So we're going to do an Ozzy show coming up, because why wouldn't I, right? I love Oz. This is kind of like, in a way, an Ozzy adjacent show, and I'll explain as we go along, because I'm not going to let you figure it out on your own. Before we jump into the music, as always, thank you for coming back week in, week out, checking out the channel. I do appreciate you being here week in and week out. I appreciate the comments, and always all the interactions are very positive, and I love that. So I can see what the frig I'm doing. Let me put on my glasses here, and we'll take a look at everything. So like I said, Ozzy adjacent. Ozfest was a huge thing, and on one of the Ozfests was one of everybody's heavy metal heroes as far as bands go, talking about Iron Maiden. Now this is a radio broadcast album, which is a nice European way of saying bootleg. As you can tell, it's kind of like Eddie, but not quite Eddie. Definitely not a Mark Wilkinson. Definitely not a Derek Riggs version of Eddie. And this is called The Rockin' Roots of Iron Maiden. It is a radio broadcast, or as I like to say, it's a bootleg. And it's just 6 tracks, but it's 6 live tracks. There's the back of the album with the tracks there. So you get Heaven Can Wait, The Angel and the Gambler, When Two Worlds Collide, Hallowed Be Thy Name, Fear of the Dark, and Iron Maiden. So kind of, ricocheting all over Maiden's career. And it does come on this really cool red vinyl. Labels are very neat. Got your Ghetto Eddie on there, is what I'd like to call him. And, pick this up at one of my local record stores. Very happy to grab it. You always hear me say I'm not a bootleg guy, then I show you a friggin' bootleg. So that's that. There's the bootleg that I have for this week. Next one up is one that, no real Ozzy connection that I can see, other than they probably worship him like everybody else. I'll show you the hype sticker on this. This is limited edition pink and black splatter vinyl. And if you can make out what it says there, this is Enough's Enough, and this is their latest called Extra Cherries. And the lone member left is Chips Enough. So why not just call it Chips Enough, like you did with that album over there and another one? I don't know, I guess Enough's Enough has more of a name to them than just Chips Enough. But it's Enough's Enough. It sounds just like them. I dig Enough's Enough, all right? I've always dug them. I have their entire collection. Wait, actually, there is an Ozzy adjacent thing here. Stupid me. Yeah. So how is Enough's Enough Ozzy adjacent? Real simple, all right? Go out and find the album Dissonance, all right? One of the later, I'd say mid. Yeah, let's say mid. And I don't mean mid like it's mid, like the kids say today. I mean mid like mid-career albums that they put out. Guess who plays guitar on that album? Did I hear someone say Jakey Lee? Jakey freaking Lee plays guitars on an Enough's Enough album. Is that friggin' incredible or what? Go out and check that album out. Dissonance from Enough's Enough. Very cool to hear Jake, slashing away on guitars for Enough's Enough, but they retain their power pop prettiness that they always have, as they do on the latest Extra Cherries. And this has got some guests on it, all right? Fresh off of his work with Ace Frehley, okay, we have Steve Brown of Trickster. He's on 2 tracks. You also have Robin Zander and the late, great Derek Frigo, who was part of Enough's Enough before he passed, on another track. Gunnar Nelson, okay, got Gunnar Nelson from the Nelson Brothers, and also Robert Fleischman, Neil Schon, and Donnie Vie on another. So you've got Robert Fleischman, the original Journey singer, as well as Neil Schon and Donnie V. I don't know why I say Vie, it's V. Donnie V on another track. So here's the back of it, all right? Album's called Extra Cherries. Very cool. It's, if you like Enough's Enough, you're going to like this. There's no ands, ifs, or buts about it. I'm prejudiced. I'm a huge Enough's Enough fan. Have been since day one. If you like Cheap Trick and you've never listened to these guys, these are kind of cheap. They're kind of Cheap Trick-ish. They're from the Midwest. They're a Chicago band. All new players on this one. We've got Chip and Company. So we've got Chips Enough, Jason Camino on rhythm guitars and lead guitars, Dax Nielsen, drums and percussion, and Louis Khalil on lead and rhythm guitars. And then you've got, as I said, the aforementioned guests on tracks. And we'll take a look at the album, which is a cool splatter. All right. Very nice. You got the labels there with the Extra Cherries on there. And the tracks are Heartbeat, which is a great opener. No Cold Feeling with Steve Brown. I hate to give him credit because I met him. I interviewed him when he was a kid in Trickster, and the band was a bunch of douchebags. But, I guess people grow up and grow older. I know I've grown older. You got Heavy Metal, which is the latest single that they have out, which is very cool. Magnificent, featuring Steve Stevens of Billy Idol fame. And Back to the Wall. Take It or Leave It. Sanibel Island, which they've released again. All right. You Make Me Want to Lie that's the one with Robin Zander of Cheap Trick and Derek Frigo. Star with Gunnar Nelson, and rounding it out with Shine with Fleischman, Sean, and V. And the 2 Brown tracks are No Cold Feeling and Magnificent, as I said prior. So, Enough's Enough's new ones out. Extra Cherries. If you dig them, you're going to love this. I dig it. I love it. Awesome stuff. All right. So, moving right along. We've got... This is one, something, I'm gonna put this one aside. This one we're gonna save this to the end. We're gonna do an anniversary one. And I'll tell you why we're saving that. All right. Could it be Ozzy's final tracks? Ozzy's final vocal tracks that I have right here. Not yet. But got an anniversary edition. And yes, I bought the bundle. Gotta buy the bundle, right? Got to buy the bundle. Why? Because I am a t-shirt and music guy. So this is yet another Kiss release. It's hard to believe it's been 40 years since the Asylum was opened. Here's the hype sticker on this one. 40th anniversary of Kiss, colored vinyl edition, and it is an embossed cover on Asylum, all right? And it's embossed front and back. Very cool. Not a gatefold, but we do have our lyrics and liner notes contained within. And just like the album, or I should say just like the cover, got this very cool splatter vinyl right through the middle, a streak, just like the album cover. And you know, for 80s Kiss, this is a pretty good album. It's not horrific, not one of their best. Other goodies that this comes with, aside from being an embossed album, we get a poster, which is basically the back cover. Promo poster right here. So this would go up on 13-year-old me's wall right away because I was a huge Kiss fan at that point. Still dig Kiss, still love them even though they're retired. See how long that one lasts, Gene. The inside of this is a funky blue. So they, typical of Kiss, they do the right thing when it comes to merchandising, and they give you a good value for what you get as far as the packaging goes. Always has been their calling card. I'm sure it will always be that way. And as far as tracks go on this, if memory serves me right, this kicks off with King of the Mountain, which is a really good song. Any way you slice it, Who Wants to Be Lonely, Trial by Fire, I'm Alive, Love's a Deadly Weapon. Then you've got the big track, the Paul in Pink in the video track, Tears Are Falling, Secretly Cruel, Radar for Love, and the other big one from here, All Night. And as I said, I bought the bundle, so that means we got a new t-shirt, right? So always happy to have more t-shirts. Eventually I'm going to run out of room. So let's take a look at this together. So it's the Kiss Asylum tour shirt. All right. Show you the back of that as well. Glad to add that to my collection of tour shirts. Last week I actually got to see Def Leppard and the Struts. My wife's a huge Def Leppard fan. I like them. Not my favorite band on the planet, but I do like them. But I got to see the Struts. I always wanted to see the Struts. And man, what a great show. Just overall. Def Leppard was great. They put out a great set of music for this tour. It was great. Very heavy on the older stuff, which I'm all about the older stuff, like Hysteria Back. Couldn't have been more happy. Great show. See, people call it going to concerts. I call it going clothes shopping because I always pick up a tour shirt or 2 or 3. So that's what it was for me. So anyhow, keep it with the music. All right, what we're showing you. 2 things left. All right, one is this. More colored vinyl. Very colorful week this week. All right, I think everything's colored this week. We have the return of Alice Cooper. All right, with the album titled The Revenge of Alice Cooper. And this is not Alice Cooper the man. This is Alice Cooper the band, the original Alice Cooper band back together after 50 years. After they split and Alice went their own way, the band tried to continue on without him under the name Billion Dollar Babies. Really didn't do much. And Alice rolled on to have a fantastic career. But it was time to regroup the gang, and I really dig this album cover. Dig all the packaging on this too. The Revenge of Alice Cooper. It's kind of like an old-time movie poster, horror movie poster. Check out the back there as well. Take a look at the gate. Of course, you got to have a snake involved if Alice Cooper's there, and you've got your lyrics and liner notes in there. Actually, your liner notes, I should say. Lyrics aren't there. Lyrics are here. So there is Alice. All right. Mike Bruce, and both vinyl look like this, so I won't show you both just for time's sake, but, as described on the hype sticker, lives up to the hype. We'll show you the other jacket. Dennis Dunaway and Neil Smith, and the album is dedicated to Glenn Buxton, all right? And this is a pretty cool album. It's definitely got the old-time Alice Cooper sound. He's been more apt to do his original sound over the past few albums, like Detroit Stories and stuff like that, going back to when these guys were together. And it kicks off with of course, there's a certain level of creepiness with everything with Alice Cooper. It kicks off with Black Mamba, which is a cool song. Wild Ones, Up All Night, Kill the Flies. For some reason, that song is creepy as frig, and I love it. It's just, it's Alice Cooper to the max lyrically. One Night Stand, basically another serial killer tune from Alice Cooper. Gotta love it. Blood on the Sun. Crap That Gets in the Way of Your Dreams. Happens to all of us, doesn't it? Famous Face, Money Screams. That's right. Money Doesn't Talk, Money Screams, another good one. What a Sid. Intergalactic Vagabond Blues. What Happened to You? I Ain't Done Wrong. And See You on the Other Side. All right, so very, very cool stuff there from Alice Cooper, the band. All right. Now, last but not least, got to talk to you about this one. Now, you got to understand, there's two different versions of this album, all right? And you're going, well, why the hell are you going to hold this album to the end, okay? Holding this album to the end simply because it has probably the final Ozzy tracks that exist, all right? And you're going to go, when I hold it, you're going to go, what the frig is this? All right. This is called the Morrison Project. Now, there's two versions of this album. This is the one you want. All right. And I'll explain to you as to why you want this one and not the other one. This is the double album. Okay. You want the double album, even though it's only 3 sides of vinyl and an etching. You want this one because it has probably one of the best Ozzy tunes I've heard in a long time that Ozzy sings on. And that's called Gods of Rock and Roll. All right. So how the hell did I find this thing? All right. Well, with Ozzy passing, I go on Amazon Music a lot. Okay. When I'm out walking and, doing stuff around the house where I don't want to be disturbed by the other people that live here, I pop the headphones in and I listen that way. Either that I'm down here in my music room with the headphones on listening to music. But I discovered some new stuff via Amazon Music, and this was one of the things. Now, you might be going, Billy Morrison. Who the hell is Billy Morrison? Well, Billy Morrison has quite a freaking pedigree if you're unaware. Billy is the rhythm guitarist for God knows how long with Billy Idol, and also he's the bass player with The Cult for like the past 15 years, who I absolutely love. So that's a tremendous rhythm section with Billy and Tempesta. Now, that's just phenomenal. And with this, he got a bunch of his friends together. Now, oddly enough, there's nobody here from The Cult on this, but we do get Steve Stevens and Billy Idol on a track or two. All right? And with this, it starts off with Drowning, which is sung by Billy, and he plays bass and guitar. He does a lot of the heavy lifting on this album, obviously. Then you get the first of 2 Ozzy tunes, which is called Crack Cocaine, which is a great, funny, upbeat song. It's Come to This, which is, yet another, another just Billy song. Then you have The Eyes Have It, which have everyone's favorite uncle, Uncle Al Jorgensen of Ministry. Dystopia, okay, another all Billy tune. Insight the Witch, all right, which is Corey Taylor from Slipknot. And I'm not a huge Slipknot fan. I can listen to them, but they're not my favorite thing. But Corey Taylor sounds great on this. Puppets on a String, Just Like a Movie, The Sound of Freedom, Mr. Dream, which is Billy Idol and Steve Stevens, We Are the Dead, and Chasing Shadows, which has Linda Perry on it. Linda Perry of Four Non-Blondes fame. All right, she's written a ton of stuff. We'll take a look. They got 2 different colored vinyl albums here. So this is the first one. All right, this is vinyl 1, disc 1. And then that's everything that's on that album. Then we have on disc 2, it's like demos and orchestral versions. And that's where we get 2 different versions of Crack Cocaine. So we're up to 3 Ozzy tunes on here, but one of them's the same 3 times. Then we got Phenomenon with Cypress Hill and Gods of Rock and Roll, the orchestral version, which is worth the price of admission. Right there, if you hear this tune, you're going to be like, holy crap, what a great Ozzy tune. Then you got Dystopia and We Are the Dead. Phenomenon's on here as well, which is with Cypress Hill. And there's another track on here with Run DMC. I'll be honest with you, I like rap to an extent, but they just don't fit on this album. They're not bad tracks. In my opinion, they just don't fit. I think he overreached a little bit. But there you go. See if we can see the etching on here. It's kind of hard. No, can't really tell. No. Or maybe it's not. Maybe I'm just losing. No, there is no etching. I thought there was an etching on this, but apparently not. So, that's that. That is everything. Now, this album actually came out last year, but through the miracle of modern music, I discovered it this year. And the single, Gods of Rock and Roll, was actually just released right before the Birmingham concert, and it's a very fitting send-off for Ozzy now that he is among the gods of rock and roll. So, that is everything. I'm not going to monkey with this while you guys are out here watching. That is everything I have for you this week. Come back soon because I'm going to have something very big since there was no box set. I got something up my sleeve. So, as always, I want to thank you for coming, checking out the channel. Share it with friends. Clue them into this fabulous music channel that I have going on. Seriously, thank you for checking out the channel. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your subscriptions. Thank you for your likes and hitting that little bell there so you get reminded when I drop a new one. Seriously, thank you, thank you, thank you. Peace, one love, music. I'm out.